hasty business decisions can sometimes cause you problems. Making a hasty choice without thinking about it too much and without mulling over the consequences and just making a quick emotional decision many times will cost you in business. And sometimes the longer you've been in business, you kind of get an idea of what you're looking for and what to avoid. And you just have to kind of, learn from your mistakes. And I'm going to share something that happened to me recently that, looking at it now, a few days removed, I think if I had done things differently, it would have been a very large mistake. And fortunately for me, I avoided this particular mistake. So, as some of you may know, not everybody may know this, but I am currently in the market for another truck. And what I'm actually going to be doing is, this is part of my business strategy moving forward. Let me set this camera down here so I can see. That's better. I'm going to be selling my 12x6 trailer that I never use. And I'm going to be purchasing another work truck, a newer, better, a little bit more equipped truck for more for maintenance. So I'm going to have another. The plan is to have another Mow and Go Systems ramp. I'm going to have Dale build me another ramp for that one, for that truck as well. And so I'll have Big Red, the 88 Chevy. The original, the OG Big Red will be my my truck that I use for heavy projects like mulch, bulk stuff, things of that nature, because it is a 3/4 ton after all. The newer truck will be a half ton or a heavy half ton, and its only purpose will be to haul around the mower and the trimmers to knock out all my maintenance properties. And the Ram here, of course, will be the quotes truck / flower planting truck / bed maintenance out at my subdivision truck. That sort of thing. Kind of like, if I had multiple people, this would be kind of like the truck that the account managers would drive, and the other work trucks would be like the service trucks in the service side. But make sure this thing's still recording. Sometimes it turns off on me when I've got it sitting here in the deal. But anyway, so I know pretty much what I'm looking for in terms of trucks. I have some very specific qualifications, but one of those qualifications is the truck must be red. I want another red truck. I want all the trucks to be red, specifically flame red, bright red, whatever they call it. Not the red that this color truck is, but the bright red color is my company color. Like that truck right there. Look, see that truck right there? That's the color we're aiming for right there. So anyway, I've found a couple of trucks on the internet for sale, and I reached out to a couple people and talked to a couple of people and, got some preliminary information. Well, on Thursday, I found one that looked very promising. It had pretty low miles for the year. It had, it had the engine I'm wanting. It had the cab and bed configuration that I'm wanting. It had, it looked like it was in pretty good shape, more or less. Like it had some cosmetic problems, but it looked like mechanically it was in really good shape. I did a Carfax check on it and a VIN check on it, and everything checked out as far as that goes. From the vehicle history, all the maintenance was there. Whoever owned this truck, the second owner of this truck, took very good care of it, detailed all the maintenance and everything. And so I kind of got a little excited, like, okay, I'm gonna go out and get this truck, and this is gonna be our new maintenance truck next year. Well, unfortunately, I went out to look at the truck and got there, and I'm walking around the truck inspecting it. When I go to look at a used vehicle, I do a pretty detailed visual inspection, check all the fluids, make sure everything's, the levels are there, make sure the colors are there. In this case, you pull the automatic transmission dipstick and make sure the fluid is a dark red. either a bright red or a dark red, preferably a dark red if it's that old of a vehicle. And if you know anything about automatic transmissions, you know why that is. But I was checking out the truck and everything. I pulled the oil dipstick, and there wasn't hardly any oil on this dipstick. And my heart kind of sank a little bit. I was like, oh man, there's no oil on this. Like, I put it back in again and pulled it out again just to see. And there was a little bit of oil on the tip or whatever, but it was a black colored oil. It looked like it was older oil, and the rest of the dipstick didn't have any oil on it. So right off the bat, I'm kind of like, oh no, this truck, it's low on oil. Like, that's not a good sign. I didn't see any stains in the driveway though, so I looked under the truck briefly. I checked the frame in a couple of spots to make sure, because it had been in a previous accident, and I wanted to be sure there wasn't any frame damage, and there wasn't. So we were clear on that. I didn't see any stains in the driveway though that would indicate like oil puddles or anything. I looked through the whole driveway as we were walking in, and around where I could see, and there wasn't anything that indicated that. So I thought, okay, well, we would bring oil if we bought it, that sort of thing. So get in the truck, start it up. It sounds good, it starts right up. I started it multiple times just to make sure, nothing was glitched or something, that somebody was trying to, set me up or whatever. It stopped and started several times. So, okay, the charging system's working, the starting system's working, the air conditioning worked really well. It was really cold. The truck drove pretty well. It drove about as well as the Chevy does, or maybe a little better. It was a newer truck, but it still wasn't like a brand new truck. It wasn't totally tight, but enough for me. Good enough for a work truck driving around hauling mowers from job to job. Exactly what I need. So driving it around, testing to make sure the transmission shifting like it should and not slipping. I'm very aware of what that feels like. So everything's checking out, and I'm getting pretty excited about it. Everything's checking out. Talking to the guy, and he ends up telling me, unfortunately, I was asking, so we're in conversation, and I'm asking him, so is the title, so who's the title in? Is it your name, your wife's name? Whose name is the title in? Well, unfortunately, he lets slip that the title is in the name of the previous owner, but it's signed and everything. And that immediately, that in my head, that's like, oh, that's a red flag, because right now in the state of Texas right now, there's a lot of what they call ghost cars running around that are paper tags and don't have the correct identification. And so a lot of that is going around right now, and they're cracking down on that hardcore. They're actually getting rid of paper plates. There's no more paper license plates in the state of Texas as of, I think, beginning of this month. So right away, I'm kind of like, oh, okay, well, that might be a problem. At the very least, you go to the DMV and they would make you pay a fine. But at the very most, they would say, oh, we can't register this. You're going to have to get a surety bond and this and that. And it's bonded titles and all that are a pain in the ass to deal with. So I'm thinking, I don't want to play games with this. All this paperwork needs to be correct before I can do it. Assuming the prices, assuming we're going with this price. So I get back to the truck, and I'm talking to the guy, and I'm just like, okay, listen, the one thing that bothers me, the truck drives really well, and I like it, but the one thing that bothers me is the oil. There was no dipstick on the oil, or very little oil on the dipstick, rather, when I pulled it. So I grabbed my flashlight, and I said, I need to get under here and look again. So I get under the truck, and I'm looking, and I see oil on the oil pan, and I'm like, oh, okay. I get underneath it more, and I look around, and I'm like, oh, maybe it's the drain plug, or maybe it's the little block-off plate next to there. Unfortunately, it's oil coming from up top of there, and it's all on the top part of the oil pan as well. And so I'm looking at this, and it's clean oil too. So I'm looking at this thing, and okay, this bare minimum, this is an oil pan gasket that needs to be replaced, which is not not fun to do on these trucks. It's not as bad as on a four-wheel drive, but it's still not fun. And then worst case scenario, this is like a rear main seal leak, which that's going to be like $1,500, $2,000 job if you hire it out, because they got to pull the transmission, and there's a lot of shit that they got to move around and get to get access to that, because it's on the back side of the engine. So I told him what I thought, and I said, this is what I'll pay for this truck, and it was about $800 less than he had it listed for, and they said no. So I took myself and left, and I said, thanks for your time, have a good day, and left. Well, apparently I wasn't out of it yet, because I sent them a message later saying, hey, thank you for seeing me. If you reconsider my offer, let me know. I was not expecting to hear anything back from them, but they did. They actually came back, and we ended up having a couple of phone conversations, and they did finally agree to my price for that truck. However, after talking to another mechanic telling me, hey, sometimes when you take stuff out of here, you open up cans of worms on these old trucks, that you may not be wanting to deal with. Something else you maybe end up tripping something else and have to repair that. With these, the older the vehicle is, a lot of times stuff you never know what you're going to run into when you start doing these types of jobs. So that kind of got me a little bit worried about it, and that kind of talked me out of spending the money on this. And I was still bothered by the fact that title wasn't in that gentleman's name; it was in the previous owner's name. I didn't want to deal with any title trouble, so effectively I called him and canceled the deal and just told him, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna buy the truck. And I told him why. I was honest with him. I told him why. Like, understand, if it wasn't for the oil leak and the title issue, I would have paid the asking price you were asking for it. There wouldn't have been any haggling. I would have showed up and paid it right then and there. But it is what it is. And thinking back on this, old Jason would have made that deal right away and just said, I gotta have this. There's no, I gotta get this done. I gotta make this deal now. This is the deal. This won't be another deal. This has got to be done. But no, newer, older, wiser Jason decided, there's gonna be other trucks out there. There's gonna be other opportunities, and I'm not in a hurry. I'm not rushing. There is no reason why I need to sit there and make a hasty decision like this, because purchasing another work truck, another vehicle, is a big decision in your business, and there's no reason why I need to jump into something like this. I have time, to take my time. I have time to look at several vehicles, and pick the best one that works for me. And when you're in business, you have to also make decisions like that. Sometimes, you have to say, this isn't a good fit for me. I don't need to be doing it. Whether it's buying a vehicle or buying a piece of equipment, or, even working for an individual or a business. I've turned jobs down before because something about it didn't sit right, or I didn't have a good feeling about it, or the scope of the work just, it wasn't, it didn't fit what I wanted to do, and I didn't think the job was going to be a good fit for me. I've outright turned work down before for that reason, and there's nothing wrong with that. You just have to know, you have to be a little bit wiser and kind of think about what your goal is, and think about what you need, not so much what you want. Because let me be honest, I really wanted that truck, and it still hurts. It still hurts a little bit right now, honestly. I'm there's a part of me that thinks oh, this is the one that got away or whatever. It's a very small part of me, but still, and it's, in time I probably won't think that way, but I really wanted that truck. And in the moment, there were a few times where I was just this close. I was this close to saying, yeah, you know what? Make the deal. Let's do it. Let's do it right now. Right now, make the deal. But logic prevailed. And it's just another reminder that you can't rely on your emotions when you're making business decisions. You've got to think about all of the courses of action, all of the paths you could take. You've got to analyze situations objectively and make clear, rational decisions. You can't jump into something emotionally, normally. And this was my recent experience with that. So I'm still looking for a truck. We'll see what happens, what comes with that. So could get one next week or next month, or it could be next year, or it could be the year after. I don't know. We're not on any timeline. Like I said, I'm not in a rush. There's nothing wrong with any of my equipment, nothing wrong with any of my trucks. I've even still got the trailer, even though I'm currently listing it for sale. My plan is to sell that trailer. Because let's face it, after working with a trailerless setup as long as I have, I can't go back. I can't go back to a trailer. There's so many convenient things about having a trailerless setup. It's a no-brainer for what I'm doing. For some businesses, you need a trailer. You absolutely have to have a trailer. But for what I'm doing, the businesses or the jobs that I'm focusing on and the work that I'm targeting, I don't need one. So, hope this was helpful to somebody. It was just, it was good for me to get it out there. So, take care and have a good one, everybody.